Pre-algebra, we have reached the final objective of the unit, solving two-step equations. Now, if you think back to PO18 and PO17, each of them only required one step to solve because there's only one operation, right? It was either addition or subtraction or multiplication or division. So what makes an equation two steps to solve is because it has how many operations in it? Two, right? It's going to have addition or subtraction, and it's going to have multiplication or division. We are still using opposite operations to solve this. You first practiced opposite operations with just addition and subtraction. Then you practice opposite operations with multiplication and division separately. Now we're putting them together. Okay? So for an equation like 5n plus 32, it says 7 is being added to the 5 times n. So in the original equation, what operations are there? There's addition and there's multiplication. So when we go to solve it, you're asking yourself, what is the opposite of addition? It is subtraction. Okay? And then what is the opposite of multiplication? Division. Right? So we're still looking at the original equation to see what operations are in it so that we can do the opposite of those. But it's going to take two steps rather than just one step. Okay? So, this part here, be careful. When solving for a variable, there's an order that must be followed. Since we're using opposite operations, we do the opposite of perm dots, meaning we take care of any addition or subtraction first, and then we move to any multiplication or division, right? We're used to, when solving an equation, we would multiply first and then add, but here we're undoing. We're doing the opposite, so we start with that addition or subtraction first. So 5n plus 7 equals 32. We see we have the equation we have above. We have multiplication, we have addition. We start with this addition and do the opposite. What's the opposite of adding 7? Subtracting 7. So your work that you're showing here, you're showing subtracting 7 from both sides. Subtraction, because it's the opposite of addition, and we do it to both sides to keep the equation balanced. Right? So 7 minus 7 equals 0. They cancel out. Just like in PO16, right? 32 minus 7 equals 25. We're not done yet because n isn't by itself, but any questions on the step we just did and why we did it, how we got to where we are? We saw the adding 7, we did the opposite of that, we did it to both sides, and now our equation is 5n equals 25.
How do we have the 5n? Why is it there?
Why? Because subtracting 7 from 7 doesn't affect this. Nothing happens to it. It just kind of drops down. Okay? We subtracted 7 not from the 5n. We subtracted 7 from the 7. The reason why we don't subtract 7 from the 5n is because multiplication and subtraction are not opposites. Right? To undo the multiplication, we need to do division. Okay? So here in this step, here is where we'll be dividing both sides by 5 to undo the multiplication. Get n by itself, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. And so n equals 5. And just like before, we can go back and check this too. It's a glorious thing. Is 5 times 5 plus 7 equals 32? Yes, it is. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 plus 7 equals 32. Okay? Questions on that? Basically it, right? It's kind of a combination of 16 and 17 together. Let's do the next one. 2n plus 17 equals 25. What would your first step be here, do you think? I don't want the answer yet, but just what would your first step be? Ava?
Cancel out the 17.
How?
Or could you do, well, it's addition.
Yep.
Like, so then you do subtraction.
Exactly. Yeah. Start with that constant. This is called the constant. You should have learned this last year in like PO60, okay? This is the constant. It doesn't have the n. You start with that addition or subtraction, and the opposite of adding 17 is subtracting 17. Right? So 17 minus 17 equals 0. They cancel out. The operations undo each other. And 25 minus 17 is 8. You've got to keep that equation balanced to both sides. And what's your second step now? N by itself. Divide by what? 2, right? The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. Cancel out that operation, undo it, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Let's go. Let's go. So, check it, plug it back in. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 17 equals 25. It checks out. Okay. Now, Marina, you said you started working on this a little bit and got stuck in the bottom row?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, n divided by 4 plus 13 equals 15. Again, take a look at what operations are in the original equation. We have addition, which means we're going to need to subtract the opposite. And we have division, which means we're going to need to multiply. Which one do we undo first? Do we start with the addition and subtraction, or start with the multiplication and division?
Addition and subtraction.
Addition and subtraction. So what's our first step?
Cancel out 13.
How?
So like the subtraction.
Yeah, subtract. Right? 13 minus 13, we'll cancel that operation out. 13 minus 13 equals 0, and we're left with n over 4, or n divided by 4 equals 2. Okay? So now, Marina, your time to shine.
8.
We're dividing by 4. How do we cancel out that operation? What's the opposite of dividing by 4? Multiplying by 4. Exactly. Right? So we're going to multiply both sides by 4 to cancel that operation out. N is now by itself, and like you said, 2 times 4 is 8. Can we check this? Sure can. 8 divided by 4 is 2, plus 13 equals 15. It checks out. Okay? Yeah?
So on the top ones, do you have to show your work like? Well,
Yes.
I know, like with the 17, but like, do you have to show it like if like the 2n equals 8 over those things?
What I have written here is the work I want you to show.
Okay, so.
Okay? My work should be your work. For now.
So like.
On the test, you don't have to show any work.
So not
bro.
like writing down everything you did with. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my work's pretty basic, right? Like, you don't have to show this part here, where I circled the 5n and brought it down. You know, that's not the work. That was the question. But the operations, the canceling out, things like that, I want to see that. Let's do one more here. N divided by 5 minus 20 is negative 40. Look at the equation. We've got division, which means we're going to have to multiply. We've got subtraction, which means we're going to have to add. Which step gets done first? Bryn.
Division?
Not when solving for the variable, not when undoing the equation. We always start with addition or subtraction. Okay? So how do we cancel out this minus 20, this negative 20? What's the opposite of that?
Addition?
Do we agree with Callie? Is addition the opposite of subtraction?
Yeah.
It is, right? So our first step is going to be adding 20 to both sides here. And remember with negative numbers, okay, on the left side it's easy. We did this so we could cancel it out, right? But on the right side, negative 40 plus 20, is that going to be negative 60 or negative 20?
Negative 20.
Negative 20, right? Negative 40 plus 20 means we're starting at negative 40 and going to the right, because we're adding, going to the right 20, and that's going to bring us to negative 20. So if you did this and you put negative 60, you went the wrong direction. You actually subtracted 20 instead of adding it. So now we're here. N divided by 5 equals negative 20. What's our second step that will get n by itself here? Read the equation, think the opposite. N divided by 5. So where?
N times 5.
We're going to multiply. both sides by 5 to cancel out that operation. Alright? So negative 20 times 5 is negative 100. Does that work? If we plug negative 100 back in here, negative 100 divided by 5 is negative 20, and negative 20 minus 20 does give us negative 40. Alright? That's all we're going to cover today. Right? If you feel like you're in a pretty good headspace with this, and you want to try and do some more, feel free. It's not going to be homework. If you are still a little bit rocky, got some questions, a little bit confused, we'll cover it again Monday. We'll start from scratch, and hopefully that'll help. So, homework tonight, if you haven't already done it, Khan Academy. Also, if you need to make a phone call to stay after school today, you can do that in the office. But for now, that's how you math.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.